Hi, hi there, everyone. This is Steen Kirby, and we're here for episode 5 of the Tennis Atlantic and the Grandstand Courtside Videocast. We've got our other co-host, Courtney Massey, with us today. Ricky Diamond's in Indian Wells, so he will not be joining us. But we're going to be discussing the Indian Wells, the first Masters event of the season, ATP and WTA draws. And then we'll also have some talk about the Davis Cup, including one of our guests, Joe Craven, and because he was attending the USA versus Great Britain tie in Glasgow over the weekend. So without further ado, I'll let Courtney, Joe Craven, and also other guests, Niall and Clarke of Tennis Atlantic, introduce themselves.
Hey guys, my name is Courtney Massey, and like Steen said, I'm one of your courtside co-hosts. I'm also known as the Traveling Fangirl. If you aren't already, go follow my Twitter account, which is @CM_TravelingFG. And I'm pretty nice usually, so feel free to chat me up on Twitter.
Hi guys, Joe Craven here. You can follow me on Twitter @ProdigyRep, and you can also see my rubbish posts on men's tennis forums on the name Prodigy ENG. And yeah, that's it.
I'm Niall Clarke, and I'm the WTA correspondent for Tennis Atlantic. You can follow me on Twitter at NiallClarke96, although I don't even use Twitter, really. Or conversely, you can look at my Facebook, which is just Niall Clarke. For the profile picture, I'm stood in front of a Wawrinka poster, so that's me.
I don't think there's too many Niall Clarke stood in front of a Wawrinka poster, so it should be easy enough to spot.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll while everybody goes to find Niall on Facebook, we will go to the draw now. And starting with the men's side, yeah, we're just gonna go to kind of go through each section real briefly. First section, we've got Djokovic and Anderson are the top 2 seeds. American John Isner is also in there. And then comeback king Victor Troicki as well. This section, Djokovic should really not have any problem getting to the quarterfinals. I don't think anybody would really disagree with that. Anderson's been in relatively okay form, and he's the best of that lower section, so he should get past Isner, who's been in absolutely terrible form all year. Working with Justin Gimelstob seems to have driven his career into the dumpster. Unfortunately, right now, Isner's career is a grease fire, if you ask me. But
wow.
Well, your coach is bad when you go to Davis Cup and they're sat in America commentating for the Tennis Channel. They don't even bother to make the trip over. You know your coach is bad when they're commentating on your own matches whilst you're playing them.
That's right.
I think that would be interesting. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off topic a little bit, but to say what you guys were saying about Gimelstob, I think it would be kind of interesting to see more coaches commentate live on their players' matches.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think the situation, the fact that Gimelstob's from the USA, I don't see why he couldn't have made the trip out to the Davis Cup and maybe done a bit of commentary there. I'm not sure. It might have been a rights issue, but
I see what you mean. How
yeah,
he wasn't actually there in
that's
person.
right.
I don't think.
Not to mention that many people were commenting on. They were watching that broadcast. I never even watched Tennis Channel. I always watch like Eurosport or something like that. But people were commenting, and his commentary was like he was like saying Isner should come in more to the net and things like that. And then when he said to do that, it was Ward that won the points.
So basically, he was trying to telepathically coach him.
Yeah.
From his comment box.
And coach him wrong because what he was saying didn't work.
He's just not done anything for Isner. I mean, in that, I know I'll mention it a bit more later, but in that match against Ward, he was so passive for a guy who's got a big forehand. The court suited his game. And especially in the last 3 sets, is some of the most passive play I saw from him, just slicing and not really attacking. And then in the Murray match where he actually decided to bring in an aggressive game, it was too little, too late against a guy that strives when he has an opponent like that. So
That's right.
he's not had.
I think that's a common criticism from Isner. I've heard a
Yeah.
lot of people say how he's too passive in his matches.
Yeah.
What bothers me is somebody with so much clearly natural ability with the serve, with his height, and his forehand is perfectly capable, and yet he does not seem to have made any effort to improve his return game. If I was his coach, I would literally spend 75% of practice returning serve. I mean, really just get the ball machine and say, you run from corner to corner until you learn how to rally. I mean, that's probably what Raonic has done, because if you watch Raonic over the past, 5 or 6 months, his return, not that it's great, but it's vastly improved to the point that he's at least a top 10 player and can compete with most players except for the best ralliers like a Djokovic.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it isn't. He shows his passion on court. You could tell during the Murray match on Sunday that it meant a lot to it for him to try and turn it down. But you shoot yourself in the foot when you lose against a player like James Ward. I mean, no disrespect to James Ward, but Isner should be with Isner's serve and his forehand. Isner should be straight setting him, no matter where the court is. And I think the loss is a sign of how bad his form actually is this year. The fact that even though he wears his heart on his sleeve, he gives it all for America. The fact that he squandered a 2-1 lead against a player like a boring on 100 player, James Ward, just shows how bad his form actually is.
I think it's a shame, personally, because if you look at the history, Djokovic has always struggled with the monster servers, and Isner comes in within that category. You know, he's lost to Karlovic earlier this year. If Isner was in good form, he could probably beat Anderson and set up an interesting match with Novak. But unfortunately, he's in terrible form, and it should be a breeze for Novak to get to the quarterfinals.
I think what I will say is it's in God's country. We know how much John loves playing in God's country. It was clear to me after that match against Ward, even though he didn't manage to take a set off Murray, he was a lot better in that match and a lot more motivated. So if he does go into Indian Wells with a point to prove, and like he'll have a lot of critics after what's happened, it might just surprise us, a few people. But then again, I think he's struggling. Yeah, I don't think his body's gonna be fully recovered from that match against Ward. I mean, a long flight. He's quite a tall guy, so that's not going to be that good on his body. And he might even lose to a qualifier in the second round. He's got a bye in the first round. But I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if I know we're not meant to say it, but if the Indian Wells organisers rig it so they place the qualifiers, one of the qualifiers, because Isner's going to face a qualifier no matter what. 2 qualifiers face off in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of those qualifiers is James Ward, to be honest.
That's right. I mean,
just see it happening.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, right now, Jankovic, Novikov, and Duckworth have all qualified. And then Court may well be on his way. Of course, Court is one of the big names. Number 3 or 2 in the draw, but may qualify. So we'll see how it goes. But there are plenty of relatively talented players in the qualifying draw that can make some noise. Moving on down to the next section, we've got, of course, Marin Cilic, probably the big story here. He hasn't played any tournament tennis this season, even though he had such a great year last year with that U.S. Open championship. And he'll be leading it off in the 10-seed spot. And then, of course, also David Ferrer. Ferrer's won 2 straight tournaments. He's had a really good season. He's got 3 ATP titles this year, Doha, Acapulco, and Rio. And he's only lost 1 match this year, actually, to Nishikori, who he actually beat in Acapulco. So he avenged the only loss he has all year. And look probably for him to reach the quarterfinals. Cilic is a good player, but with rust, I mean, I could even see him losing in the 3rd round to either Garcia Lopez or Kokkinakis, the wild card. But otherwise, I'd still expect Ferrer to get through. Does anybody have any thoughts different about that?
To be honest, I think was it last year in Indian Wells that Tomic got double bageled by Neiman?
That was Miami.
That was Miami, right. But still, I think Tomic is going to be a lot better.
Tomic has
in
actually
this
been
season.
very
Yeah.
reliable.
I mean, he won.
He's, I think, made 3 or 4 quarterfinals. Pretty, actually, really consistent. Not anything remarkable, but consistent. And he also won the 2 Davis Cup matches too. So,
Yeah, so
but
I think.
I mean, Ferrer just beat Tomic in Acapulco. That was the thing.
Yes, but I think was that 3 sets? That was 3 sets, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went 3 sets. That's
So
right.
I think it's going to be a similar match up there. I do expect Ferrer to come through that one, but in the third round, Tomic against Ferrer. I don't think Ferrer plays particularly well on Indian Wells court, so it could be an interesting match. That's one of the matches I'm looking forward to watching in terms of perhaps an upset happening. Like I said, I do expect Ferrer to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tomic can pull off the upset there. In terms of coming through the section, it's not really a strong section. I mean, there's Chilich, but as you say, Steen, he's just fresh back from an injury, been out for what is it, 6 months?
Yeah, a while now.
Not 6 months, but about the whole of the season. I don't think
at
he's
least
played
4 or
yet.
5 months. Yeah.
And I think, and then after that, it's 23 seed, 32 seed, Garcia Lopez, and I believe who's the other seed? Yeah, 32 seed is Tomic. So,
Tomic, yeah.
And then it's just a load of the rest is more or less journeymen. I mean, you've got Doding in there. He's more of a doubles player. You've got Struff and Souza, who I don't expect to trouble either. So I think the winner of this section will definitely be Ferrer. If not Ferrer, it'll be Tomic. Sure, with the winner of their match, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And all. Go ahead, sir.
Yep.
And then also watch out for Kokonakis too. He is qualified pretty consistently at the ATP level. Of course, he gets a wild card this time. And Struck won't actually be a real easy opponent. He's kind of unreliable, and I don't think he does too well in the heat. But he pushed them all in the 5 sets in Davis Cup, so he's in decent form.
Struff is a good player. I don't think he's quite fulfilled his potential, but I've seen him, especially in the indoor events in France, and he can play some good tennis. But in terms of these courts, I don't think he's one of those who relies on his serve quite a lot, and I don't think in these events serve's not as effective. So don't think he'll do anything.
I was going to say, if Kokonakis reaches the third round, let's say it's a Kokonakis-Chilik third round, I would actually give Kokonakis a good chance of getting a top 20 win. Because the reason why I say that is that if he's already made the third round and beaten Struff and Garcia Lopez consecutively, that already proves to me he's in good form, and he's clearly got the talent. I mean, he had that two set to love down comeback against Rosal in the Davis Cup. He doesn't quit on his matches. He plays well in the conditions of Indian Wells, I would say, with the speed of the courts and the heat and the wind a lot of times in the California desert. So with that in mind, I could see Kokonakis in the 4th round. I don't think it'll happen, but it's certainly something to watch.
Imagine a 4th round meeting between Tomic and Kokonakis. That'd be blockbuster stuff.
Tomic beat Kokonakis in Brisbane this year on hard courts.
But I think a match like that would be cool. But to be honest, that section doesn't really do much for me, I have to admit.
And then section 3 with, of course, Andy Murray is the big seed. This section, everybody but Murray, all the seeds are in absolutely atrocious form.
Especially Goldish, yeah.
Fognini,
Sorry, Courtney.
Courtney is concerned about her favorite player struggling.
I mean, are we going into it now?
Yes, go into it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't know if you were talking about something else. All right. Well, yeah, Ernest is in a slump, I guess we can say, because he hasn't won in a very long time. But I believe in him, and I know that if he can get a couple wins somehow, he can gain that confidence again, and hopefully regain a little bit of consistency this year. Um, Gosh, he says he's not really feeling the ball. He's not really feeling it on court, and in a way, I kind of compare it to bull riding, where a lot of the riders are really particular in the chute before going out on the bull, and you got to kind of adjust to your situations, and even if you're
Sounds
not
kinky.
okay, even if you're not feeling the situation, you have to adjust and have to pull it together some way, even if everything's not perfect or everything's not feeling the way you want to feel it. So hopefully he can kind of put it together enough where he can get a couple wins and gain that confidence and start really working towards it.
Yeah, I believe he could play Sam Groff in the in his first match here, which is not the type of match you wanna play when you're out of form, because Groff has got a massive serve. It won't give Gulbis any sort of rhythm to perhaps play himself in. So I think it's a difficult one. So
to be fair though, Gulbis has played well in the past in Indian Wells, I believe. So perhaps a bit of nostalgia could bring him back into form. I mean, like it says, it's rhythm and everything. I mean, when you're losing one match after the other, it affects your confidence. I mean, he's not the only player to go on a losing streak like this. He won't be the last, but there's been many players of this. I mean, Donald Junk went on a 12-match losing streak, I believe it was.
I think it was more than 12.
It was more than 17 match. I think Janovic was on one last year, but they see
Rachel's been on like 9-match losing streak at this point.
But all it takes to turn that form around and find something is one win. It can be in any circumstances. Could be like could be a comfortable win, or it could be like a tough, gritty win. But that one win could turn the season around.
Yeah.
And I would say, kind of just agreeing with Niall and also expanding on that. I could see all the seeds except for Murray losing in their first match. Cole Schreiber has looked atrocious in Davis Cup. He's been out of sorts all year. And Smyczek, of course, playing on home soil. He's certainly capable of maybe going off an upset. And also, his Davis Cup teammate Benjamin Becker is not bad on hard courts at all, and he can play decent tennis. So I could see Cole Schreiber losing, and then Fognini clearly can lose to just about anyone. He basically choked away the Davis Cup tie for Italy against Kazakhstan. His form had been somewhat improving. Of course, he made that final in Rio on clay, but he's been terrible on hard courts for a while now, and I could really definitely see a qualifier perhaps making the third round there.
To be honest, with Fognini, anything can happen. I mean,
he could win the tournament, but
the jury's got. I think he could either make the fourth round or crash out in the second round. I mean, he's got to buy in the first round, but he could make the. It's just either going to be a Manarino or a qualifier, so I could see him winning that just as much as I could see him losing actually. And he could actually make the fourth round, but as I said, you never know what happens with him. What's going to happen? Which fog will show up? That's the question you need to ask.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a shame that Mikhail Kukushkin's going to probably have to play Murray in the second round. He's also got a tough first round with Massey. Kukushkin absolutely played his tail off in the Davis Cup. He won 2 straight setters over Bileli and Andreas Seppi. Neither of them were necessarily poor players at all, especially on indoor hard courts. And of course, he has the ATP final this year. He's inconsistent, but if let's say he and Manarino had switched spots, he looked like a Kukushkin in the fourth round. But I don't really expect Murray to have too many issues with his projected draw, and I see him getting through the quarters as well.
Yeah.
He might have tripped
No
him out.
chance.
Yeah,
to be honest,
sorry, short to enjoy yourself. And I watched, yeah, in the Davis Cup, and
Yeah,
I watched,
Penny lost to Nedovayasov, yeah.
yeah, I saw him live in Glasgow in the WSL, and he is not the mentally toughest person I've ever seen play tennis either. He often let leads in sets go during that tournament, and to talk to him I just think that's just a sign of how far Fanini's fallen this year. So, obviously, like Joe said,
And in that match,
any Fanini can show up.
Fognini broke back to 5-all in the fifth, and then lost the next two games after he had broken back.
Exactly. And
to be honest, though, you say that's how far he's fallen. He's always been doing stuff like this, whether it was last year or the year before. He'll have.
Yeah, that's true.
He'll have.
Yeah, but I mean, since Davis Cup we're talking about, right? Not St. Petersburg 250, you know.
Yeah, but it's typical of him. Like, I mean, there'll be times like you said, Steen. He lost the fifth set after bringing it. Was it a 5-1 deficit back to 5-5?
Right. Yeah.
Well, he was 5-1 down against Del Bonis in a match in Rio.
Yeah, that's right.
He actually
and then Del Bonis totally collapsed.
He actually went on to win that set, I think. But
I watched that. That was.
But he sometimes, I think sometimes he puts himself in a tough situation to see if he can get out of it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And then this next section number 4. Of course, a big name here is Kei Nishikori. Nishikori's in good form. Even though Japan lost their Davis Cup tie, he won both of his matches, including whenever Milos Raonic in 5 sets. And then before that, he made the final in Acapulco and won the Memphis title. So all of his season thus far has been living up to the expectations. Top 5 level player for sure. And he shouldn't really have any problem reaching the quarterfinals as well. I don't really see anybody that would trip him up too much.
Maddie Fish.
The other seeds.
Second round win.
Yeah, Marty Fish, I've never been a fan, but everybody's talking about his comeback, and I'm thinking to myself, somebody that hasn't played a match and since 2000, almost 2 years I think since he's played a match, and they gave him not a wild card, but a protected ranking back to an ATP Masters main draw, and that just it's almost like an arrogant move. Like, I mean, generally players coming back from injury, especially for that long of a layoff, they'll go and play the Calabasas Futures F12 or something, and at least get a few matches in. And like Daniel, we were talking about Daniel Brands a lot. Coming back from something like that, you play a few futures matches, you play a little bit of challenger tennis before you go out there on the Masters. But no, he's got to go out there on the main stage, and then he's going to play Ryan Harrison, who's actually in decent form. Harrison made the semis in Acapulco. Harrison Shikori.
I think it's nice to see him back, but the draw he's got against Harrison, I don't see it being competitive at all. I don't know. Well, I think Fish returned. He played doubles in a challenger, I think.
That's right, the Dallas Challenger doubles. That's his only warm up.
Yeah, that's his only warm up. I didn't watch it myself, so can't judge how he's playing, how he's hitting the ball or anything like that. So I think in terms of that match against Harrison, I think it's going to be a comfortable win for Harrison. He couldn't have asked for an easier first round draw.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being a expensive, Court Stadium number 2 night match for like the $1,000 ticket holders, and we'll be like retired. That's totally something that Indian Wells would pull. It'll be like 6-1, 3-0 retired in like the VIP Stadium number $2,000 box seats.
It's interesting looking at the section when you first glance at it. I initially thought, Nishikori should really advance here, but there's actually some rather dangerous players in the draw. I mean, Verdasco, he can catch fire, and his forehand is brutal when it's on. Nishikori, he historically hasn't played too well at Indian Wells. Dominic Thiem, if he can catch fire as well, he got Himuka causing upset, and Gilles Muller has been on a good form this year. So I mean, it's not as simple as perhaps when you first look at the draw for Nishikori to get to the quarterfinals, especially given his record at Indian Wells.
So the team beat Simon in Indian Wells last year, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. And
Yeah.
just for the record, I was trying to see his record in Indian Wells, but I can't find it. But I forget what I said. But yeah, I mean, Lopez could do decently here. Mueller, even though he tends to be better indoors, he could do as well. But yeah, either way, probably Mueller or Lopez in the fourth round for Mr. Corey, and I still think he gets through that. And then bottom half now, section 5. This round, of course, is a big story. He'll open up probably with Simone Malelli, and Malelli beat him indoors in Marseille. Even though Raonic also beat Malelli in Rotterdam. That was the first top 10 win for Malelli in his career when he beat Raonic in Marseille.
And hopefully he can do the same thing again.
Unfortunately, though, if you watched any of his 2 Davis Cup matches, he looked absolutely awful. I mean, nothing like I even thought would look. I mean, he looked terrible.
Play doubles as well. He played a singles match and a doubles match. Is that correct?
He played 2 singles and a doubles, I believe. He lost to both Kukushkin and.
No, he didn't play. He didn't
right.
play the second doubles. Yeah.
Singles and doubles. You're right. Joe's right. But so with that in mind, even though Malelli could be tricky, Raonic probably in the third round. Geraldo's not doing anything special. Dolgopolov, if you remember, beat Nadal here last year, but his form has not been as good. So I don't think that can really be repeated in terms of video.
There's one match I think everyone's looking forward to in this section. I know I am. If Kudla doesn't beat, I think Kudla might be a task for Kyrgios, but I expect Kyrgios to win even on his return from injury, and then in the second round it's projected to be Grigor Dimitrov against Kyrgios, and I think this is quite an interesting and quite a meaningful match as well. I mean, a lot of people hype Dimitrov up to be the future of tennis, even though the fact I believe he's 23 or even 24 now, and everyone's saying he's going to do everything. And the fact is, if him and Kyrgios face, it'd be a guy that at 19 has already achieved more than Dimitrov did at 19, I believe. I mean, he's made a slam quarter-final in both the Australian Open and Wimbledon. So I think it'll be an interesting match to see who the actual future of the ATP is.
Really interesting. I mean, Nick Kyrgios, what I like about him is that he's got this sort of it factor about him. You know, a lot of young players, they've got plenty of talent, but they just don't have that it factor that I think Nick Kyrgios has. He has a lot of confidence. He's big serve, big ground stroke. And matching against Dimitrov is also going to be very interesting. A lot of people have hyped Dimitrov in the past. Personally, I think he's good. I just don't think he's that good to be the future face of the ATP. But it's certainly a matchup that could be seen more of in the future, and seeing it now, one of the matches I am looking forward to seeing if it comes to fruition or not.
I think Kyrgios gets a lot of unfair hate as well from a lot of the tennis community. I mean, the fact that he's confident and he's not afraid to stick it to the top players, not off court. I think he's actually very respectful to the top players when he's off court, but on court he he doesn't show any fear against him, and he gets himself fired up. He's got a very brash, sort of cocky youngster attitude, but I think it's good for tennis. I mean, I'd rather have a character like Kyrgios in the game than someone that sticks to being all this boring robotic personality. And I think what people who are hating Kyrgios have to remember that none of their favourites at a young age were perfect either. I mean, I see Djokovic fans hating on Kyrgios. I see Nadal fans doing the same. I know they had their moments as youngsters as well. I mean, I'm a Djokovic fan, but I have to admit he did have his moments as a youngster, and that's what made me a fan of these guys. They weren't afraid to stick it to the current crop, like the guys at that time who were the current cream of the crop, so to speak. And I like what Kyrgios is doing.
I agree. I love that kind of young fire and that kind of attitude that, like, I may be young, I may be inexperienced, but I belong here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Kyrgios overall is great for the game. Go ahead, Niall.
I believe in this, going back to the section as a whole, I believe, Raonic is one of the more consistent players on the tour. I think he's going to become like the next Thomas Verdick, in that he'll be a top 8 mainstay for a long period of time. And I think he should make the quarterfinals from this section. I mean, it could have a potentially interesting fourth round match against the Dimitrov, Kyrgios, or even Robredo. You never count Robredo out, but yeah, I just see Raonic just being too consistent, especially on serve, to lose in the early rounds.
I think it'll be a close one.
Bretta's in full form right now as well. I mean, to go back kind of to touch on Kyrgios, the Kubla match will be a good form test because Kubla will be on home soil. He's a very clean ball striker. He'll give Kyrgios a lot of opportunities to get different types of shots and work out the different parts of his game, which is actually a good matchup for somebody coming back from injury, in the sense of he'll certainly get to put in some work and work some variety of shots in, but at the same time, Kudla's not going to blow you off court with his power or anything. So with that in mind, if he gets through that, I also don't think he really will have that much of a problem being Dimitrov, honestly, because if you've watched Dimitrov's ATP matches over the past, really this year, he's not looked good at all. I mean, he played poorly against Krajinovic and Acapulco, and then he lost to Harrison, and then lost the third set with a bagel. Harrison's playing well, but the top 15 players should not be getting bageled by Ryan Harrison and Acapulco.
Definitely not. No.
So with that in mind, I feel like Dimitrov is lacking confidence, and he's clearly not really been playing well at all this season. So Kyrgios probably gets through to the fourth round if he's healthy and in decent form. But then Raonic should be able to push through to the quarters. Raonic is not going to trouble maybe the top 5 so much, but against anybody outside of the top 10, he's very reliable, and he's relatively immune to an upset. I mean, he lost to Malelli, but besides that, he's been almost immune to just rolling over and not playing a good match, because that serve is so reliable at bailing him out under pressure. And then section 6. This is a relatively interesting section. Of course, you've got Nadal, who's been shaky on a hard court, even though he's won at Indian Wells before. Of course, lost relatively early here last year to Dolgopolov, and then overall, he's just not played too well on a hard court in months, really, over a year. Even though he won the clay court time Buenos Series. And then you've got Donald Young coming off of Davis Cup duty. He didn't play so well in Davis Cup, but he played actually some of the best tennis of his career to reach the Delray final and then the Memphis semifinals, I believe.
Come on, Steen. The Don actually won a match in that Davis Cup, winning one less game than his opponent. Now that's
Yeah,
impressive
you
stuff.
can't beat
That's
that.
impressive stuff. The Don's magical these days.
Yeah, and of course, Joe's a big Donald Young fan. I'll let him touch more on that. But Young, maybe maybe he pulls off an upset. Maybe he shocks Nadal. Who knows? I don't think it's necessarily likely, but the chances are there. Jeremy Chardy shouldn't be too much of a threat. And then what's interesting here for me, though, is a possible third-round matchup between Simone and Gasquet. Both Frenchmen are actually playing well this season. Simone helped France force to a Davis Cup victory, and he's been reliable and consistent overall. And then likewise for Gasquet, they both have won ATP titles this year indoors. And that should be a good matchup. Gasquet's probably more skillful and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to watch, but Simone is such a great returner, and he just keeps the ball in play so well that maybe he can push Gasquet into errors. That'll be interesting to see, because if Nadal is in poor form or if he loses early, then maybe one of those guys makes the quarterfinals. But either way, fourth round point for either Gasquet or Simone would be quite nice.
That match, if that match does happen, Simon against Gasquet in the third round, I think that's going to be quite a terrible matchup to watch. I mean, no offense to either guy. I mean, they've both.
It'll be very defensive, but it's still
both got effective style. I don't know. On another court maybe, but with a high bouncing, slow Indian Wells court, it could be a major push fest. I don't know. I mean, it could, like you said, it could end up being really good, but in another way, it could actually be really bad. It's one of those matches that could turn out to be terrible.
So what does everybody think about Nadal? And I guess if you want to touch on Don Young as well, Jay, you can.
I think Nadal, personally, should make it through the section. I mean, I just don't see anyone in this section causing much of a threat to him. I mean, Chardy's horribly erratic. Donald Young ain't reliable, sorry, Joe, but I'm just saying.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth.
I mean, Gasquet, Nadal owns Gasquet, and I don't see Simon causing Nadal any problems either. It's just looking at it. It's got to be Nadal unless he gets injured. I mean, I just can't see an upset here. It's just not there. I just can't see it at all.
What I will say is, I know, like, I don't like to say this, but a lot of the time, but Nadal has got this section. He's got an extremely easy draw. And I mean, even if Nadal and Donald Young do face, I think it'd be a fun matchup. I'd like to see it two lefties going up head to head, but with these courts, I don't think Young can generate enough power to hit through Nadal at all. And I think if he does face Nadal, he'll get bullied out there, unfortunately. I mean, I do expect Young to make the Nadal meeting. He's got Carreño Buster in the first round, player who he should be beating by this stage, and then Chardy. I haven't watched much of Chardy this season, but I don't believe he's in amazing form. So the matchup should happen, but I don't think he'll test Nadal. And in terms of who will get through the section, definitely Nadal. Even despite his poor form, I think he's got extremely lucky with his draw. If he was in another section, maybe not, but this draw for him was really easy.
Great, and then I'll hold down to the next section. The only actually just one little thought. I'd say Simone or Nadal are most likely to get through. Gasquet has the mental block against Nadal, so I don't see that matchup ending good for him. But Simone maybe could beat Nadal if conditions are right, but otherwise that should be there. Section 7, of course, is the Rorica and Burdick section.
Oh God!
I think you're all looking forward to my unbiased analysis on this section.
Oh boy, I forgot about that.
It's I'll get it out of the way. It should be Wawrinka. I mean, I'm sorry, but the guy owns Burdick. I mean, when was the last time Burdick scored a win over him? I've seen them play each other twice live, and each time Wawrinka moves him around the court, and Burdick's just not effective on the move. I mean, you never know. I mean, Wawrinka could go out in the third round to Cleveland or even Rosol if they catch fire, but that's a big if. I mean,
can I just remind everyone that Wawrinka lost to Kevin Anderson of all players in Indian Wells last year. It was I believe it was Wawrinka's first loss of the season, and I think it's an event where he could struggle again. You just never know with Wawrinka at these Masters events. I think all throughout last year he was either doing well in them. I think in the obviously he won Monte Carlo, but he had a lot of early losses in them, I believe, as well. Shock losses. So I know you making the favourite to. I think you don't think there's a chance of him not making it through.
Oh no, I do.
No,
I think if he makes the fourth round and faces Thomas Burdick, I think there's a matchup issue there. I really do. I think
he could lose though, so he could lose before that.
Yeah, I did mention that Cleveland and Rosol can both catch fire and upset Wawrinka, but I think with his ranking going down after the Australian Open, I think Stan will be in a bit of a mission himself to try and get that ranking back up, because if you think about it, last year he won the Australian Open, then he went on a bit of a blip, and then
I think the fact that he hasn't got much to defend at the Masters throughout the year, and obviously you mentioned his ranking has dropped. The fact that he's not got much to defend at the Masters might except for Monte Carlo. So forgive me, but at the other Masters, I think it will motivate him to perhaps. I don't know if he was putting as much effort in a lot of them last year because of obviously he won a Slam and then he won Monte Carlo just a few months after them. But with his ranking dropping, he might be motivated to bring his best tennis, his peak level, so to speak, and go deep in quite a lot of them, because he is certainly capable of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Wawrinka has to be a heavy favorite to at least get to the fourth round. But Rosol's in absolutely atrocious form. Cleveland is too erratic. So, I mean, Rosol hasn't, I think he's lost 7 or 8 matches in a row now. And of course, he had that pedal choke in the Davis Cup, too. So his confidence is shattered at the moment. Karlovic may be one to watch, too. He won the Delray Beach title. That serve is always dangerous. So, actually, Burdick does not have the easiest draw, because he's going to have Sergei Sukhovsky possibly in the second round. Let Courtney talk a little bit about that. But Karlovic, third round, or Steve Johnson. Johnson's a California boy. He went to University of Southern California, played college tennis. And then he's, overall had a good season. Nothing super special, but certainly been at least reliable as a competitor. And, I could see Johnson getting through to the third round and maybe giving Burdick some trouble. And then, you never can count on Karlovic either, depending on who gets through that matchup. And then, Courtney, if you want to touch on Sukhovsky some.
Well, about Sergey, I've been wanting to ask this for a few weeks on the webcast. He's now he worked with Fabrice Santoro, and I wondered what people thought about that matchup, because I loved watching Santoro play when he was on tour. And I just wondered what people kind of think of that matchup, since we did talk about Isner and Gimbelstone.
Well, I would say that it's definitely. I've watched some of his matches over the past month. He's made semis in Marseille and then quarterfinals in both Dubai and Rotterdam. And his volleying skills for sure seem to be greatly improved. His starting volleying skills. So I mean, I would definitely say that.
Is carving up the carving up his skills ready to beat Federer at Wimbledon then again. That's what'll happen. He'll peak for Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, he beat Wawrinka, of course, in Marseille, and Wawrinka was probably fatigued from Rotterdam, but all the same.
Sorry, I've got to mention this. We cannot write off Sam Querrey, especially after what's happened in the past month. I don't know if any of you watch it. I haven't personally watched the episode, but
I have.
I heard what happened.
I have. I can talk about everything.
He's found love. He's
He
found love.
hasn't.
Apparently, he hasn't.
No.
What?
Okay. First of all, we can talk about this. I watched the whole thing.
Right, go on.
Okay. So at the end of the episode, they said that he found love and they've been together. I don't know if it's true. People can correct me if I'm wrong. But on Twitter, I saw a quote from him, I guess in a recent interview, where he said the girl didn't talk to him after the episode, after they taped. So, I mean,
no wonder he's been playing so poorly.
So I was so excited. We were all on, like, I think her name is, like, Kylie, I think. And I think we were all on Kylie watch. We were all like, oh, we're going to see her at Indian Wells. We were all excited. And then in an interview, I think yesterday, I just saw the quote. I think it's true. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but it said that she'd never talked to him after they filmed. Because it was very cute. It was very cute.
I was just surprised because I actually saw a picture of him smiling, so I thought he'd found love. It was making him a lot happier, and I was going to say there might be a chance for him against Stakhovsky, but
here's
after hearing that,
Stakhovsky is the underdog in the odds. I checked this morning, and Querrey is like 1-7. I could not. I mean, he's got 3 head-to-head wins, but I could not believe that Querrey. He's only won a match at one tournament this year. He's a first-round exit everywhere else.
I was going to say because
is the favorite.
I have not seen Querrey play this year, so I was going to ask you what the odds were because I haven't seen him play at all, and it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of interest on him right now. He's going to get a lot of phone numbers, for sure. All the women.
Well, that may not help him any though. That's Golbus.
I'm not saying it's gonna help. Hey, watch it with the Golbus. Anyway, I'm not saying that it's gonna help him his game on the court, but his game off the court. I'm just saying he's gonna get a lot of attention because he was a cutie patootie in that episode, and I was so ready to make fun of it. But I think he was really cute. He was very sweet the whole time, and I mean, there were a few dorky moments, but it was sweet. And it's a shame that reality shows are scams.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. and then last section here, I assume everybody has already have a verdict probably. So last section here.
Yes, Jack Sock is back. That is nice to see.
Back from hip surgery. He's going to face Randy Liu in the first round. It's funny I actually have Liu winning this because I feel like for somebody coming off of a surgery, an injury, and not really having a lot of match play, Liu is an atrocious opponent for a guy coming off injury because he's so reliable. He's weaponless, and he just basically pushes the ball from the baseline, but he is so reliable. He will feed balls into the forehand or backhand side, probably the backhand side in this case, of Sock all night, and just keep asking the question and making him, beat. Yeah. Liu is not player you have to beat. He's not going to beat himself. He's not going to be Fognini and just destruct.
I think it's nice that Sock's back though. I mean, at the end of last year, he was playing some fantastic tennis. Obviously, spurred on by the fact that he won Wimbledon doubles alongside Pospisil, and since then, I mean. I didn't watch much of him before that, but after that I've been keeping a close eye on him, and I think, despite obvious flaws with his backhand, I think he's got a really good game, and that forehand he holds is absolutely incredible, and if he can improve his game even more, hopefully in the time he's spent off, he's been doing when he's returned to training, he's been working on his backhand, and I just hope the injury hasn't. Ruined his momentum.
His movement,
playing really well. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see his movement after hip surgery for sure. Man. I mean, not necessarily because I'm a fan, but I've been just very familiar with Sock for a while because he is a stateside U.S. player, so I see a lot of him at
Yeah.
American events and challengers and everything, and he clearly has improved because he used to be basically kind of unfit, and he would just hit forehands and win matches basically off of one shot. But his fitness has gotten better. He seems like he's more focused. He's developed his backhand, his net game. The doubles seems to help with his volleys.
Yeah.
So I think long term it looks good for Sock. This may not be his tournament, but certainly I don't think 2015 is going to be a bad year for him or anything like that.
No.
And then Leonardo Mayer actually withdrew, even though he's listed here. He just withdrew this afternoon. So more than likely it may actually be Mueller that replaces him, but somebody, depending on where it is, either way, probably the seed or that lucky loser may make the third round, and Batista Agut be the big favorite. But also Austin Krajicek is another young American to look at. He went to Texas A&M, and he's a little bit older than some of these teenagers, so he hasn't maybe gotten as much attention. But he won. He made the quarterfinals in Memphis, and he actually pushed Nishikori to 3 sets at a tournament Nishikori was played so well in. And then he actually played relatively decent against Santi Geraldo in Acapulco, again qualifying. So Krajicek's playing some of his best tennis really of his career. He's been an accomplished doubles player. He's done singles. He's got a good varied game. So I don't know if maybe he's got as much upside potential as a Sock or somebody like that, but I feel like he could easily make a career in the top 50 and at least do well on U.S. hard courts. And he's actually got a nice chance at upsetting Dennis System, and System has not played well at all this season. So that could be an upset watch for those that are fans of American tennis.
Now there's a match I actually want to talk about, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in the second round, providing he beats Diego Schwartzman, which I don't think he'll have any problems with, Janovic will go up against Roger Federer, a match I think a lot of people will be interested in. I mean, obviously Federer is the huge favourite, but given the form Janovic has been in this year, despite a little blip in the past few weeks, which was mainly down to having pneumonia. It came at a really unlucky time when he was due to play when he played the final in Montpellier. He actually had to withdraw due to he had to retire 3 games in due to the onset of that pneumonia. So, but he's back in good form now. The Davis Cup over the weekend, 2 matches he had against. They were playing Latvia, Poland were playing Latvia.
Lithuania.
Sorry, Lithuania. My bad. So against Lithuania, and Janovic faced Grigelis, Laurinaitis Grigelis, and Ricardis Berankis. 2 straight sets wins. Sorry, but I think what impressed me the most was his serving stats. I mean, Janovic has been the past year or so. I think he changed his serving technique a bit, and it's not helped him serving a lot of double faults each match, and not really having the effect that he did when he first broke onto the tour in late 2012, early 2013. But some reassuring stats over 2 best-of-5 matches. He served 44 aces. It was 25 against Grigelis and 17 against Berankis, and just the 1 double fault. So going into the match against Federer, I think he'll actually have a huge amount of confidence. I think he'll play Federer quite close. It's a match I'm really looking forward to. The 2 faced in Rome in 2013, and Federer won that in a tight 2-set match, taken into a tie break in the second set by Janovic. I believe it was in the second set. I can't remember exactly. It was one of the sets.
But close match, yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's not fully comparable, but on a slow clay court, similar conditions in Indian Wells. Janovic has a lot of time to set up his forehand, and if he's firing on all cylinders in terms of that, he will have his chances. But then again, he's got an awful record at Indian Wells. The 2 years he played, I think last year he lost to Alejandro Fire in the second round, and the year before that, just a routine by Gasquet. So he does struggle in these North American events in the past. He has struggled, but it could be a case of being motivated to do better this year. And when he does face top players, it does bring the best out of him. But then again, he'll be nervous, so I expect him to serve more double faults than he did against either Berankis or Grigelis. He'll definitely he'll definitely hit 2 double faults against Federer. But like I said, interesting match. Probably in terms of second round matches, I think Janovic against Federer and Grigor Dimitrov, providing that the both Janovic and Kyrgios win their first round matches, I think those will be the second round matches to watch. Like they'll get a billion night matches on Stadium Court most likely. But they're definitely the matches that I love to watch.
I would agree, and Federer actually does not have a real easy draw. He's in good form. Of course, he won the Dubai tournament over Djokovic, and he's had great success before. But he's got Janowicz, as you mentioned. Pretty much all you need to say about that one. And then also Andreas Seppi, possibly in the third round. Of course, Seppi upset Federer at Australian Open. I don't really see him doing that again, especially the fact that he didn't seem too special in the Davis Cup. But Seppi overall had quite a good season. He seems, very much improved with all facets of his game. So, at a minimum, Federer will at least have to put in some work against both Janowicz and Seppi, and then Batista Agut possibly in the fourth round. Probably, he's not a walkover either. He's not necessarily going to beat a lot of the top players, but he keeps the ball in play, and he's got enough weapons to at least make Federer have to work a little bit. So we'll just kind of finish this up. Just going back to the top, I don't really see any real problem for Djokovic. Ferrer is playing very well, but it's just a different level of play between Ferrer and Djokovic, especially on a hard court for me. So Djokovic, he did fine the Davis Cup, shouldn't have too much of a hangover from that. He just won straight to the Delic. Should go ahead and get through to the semis. Kind of the same thing with Murray. Unless he lays an egg or anything, he should be okay. But then I would say actually Nishikori.
I'll just say one thing. Sorry for interrupting you, but I think I was at Murray's press conference after the Davis Cup win against Isner, and he said he'd be very surprised if he something along the lines that he'd be very surprised if he does anything special at Indian Wells. He doesn't like the conditions of the courts. He'll probably still be suffering a bit from the weekend after being on a high on the weekend, and he'll have to adjust from an indoor court. So, whilst like you seen, I do have the favourite getting through that section, but.
I just think Nishikori will have the edge in that matchup.
Yeah, he could lose even before the quarterfinals. So, like I said, Nishikori came from Canada, I believe.
That's right.
Davis Cup. So, in certain situations, they both played Davis Cup, but Murray came all the way from Scotland to Indian Wells, whilst Nishikori was in Canada. So, I think, like you, I do have Nishikori. If Murray does make the quarterfinals, which isn't a lock, I think Nishikori does have the upper hand, and I think he will probably win that, provided he's fit, obviously.
And I would say, if Murray is going to have a hangover, certainly watch out for Kukushkin or Smichek. Both not seeded, but playing decently well, especially Kukushkin. So who knows? Maybe maybe you have the shock upset there. But either way, I would so put Nishikori through. Nishikori Djokovic, as we've kind of mentioned, Nishikori does not tend to play as well at Indian Wells. I don't know if the conditions suit him as much, and Djokovic seems to generally. So again, I think that'll be a great match. Maybe goes 3 sets, but Djokovic, you kind of have to put him through to the final because he doesn't necessarily have the toughest draw in the world. And then bottom half, I think we kind of jointly agree it's going to be Raonic. Maybe Kyrgios if he really catches fire.
Wait a second. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't realize my mic was muted, and I've been trying to talk for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Floor
it was my
yours.
fault. I was just about to say about Murray, although he does say that, and there might be some truth to it, I think a lot of these guys do downplay it a lot to get the expectations off of them. So I wouldn't go by that 100%.
That is true, but
I think that Nadal is famous for that. He always self-deprecates like I'm the worst player in the world.
For sure, no, I'm not the favorite. No, gotta be the most terrible Nadal impression.
I mean, it was very high-pitched for Nadal, but I knew what you were doing, so we should just do impressions for the next hour and have Joe just. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I believe Andy Murray and what he says, but I wouldn't take it, too seriously because I do think these guys have so much pressure on them that they like to try to be like, oh no, I'm totally not feeling it.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure, is hard and they're expected to do well. So I think sometimes that's a little bit more fluff than honesty.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got Raonic over Nadal in the quarterfinals. If Simone doesn't sneak through, either way, I have Raonic winning that. I just feel like Nadal is not playing well enough on a hard court to get past the top 10 player in the case of Raonic, who's been reliable and consistent and should be motivated on North American soil, hard court masters. So Raonic in the semis, one of the third semifinalists there. And then I've got Wawrinka, of course, and then I have Federer over Wawrinka for the other semifinal. I just feel like Federer's playing very, very well right now, and Wawrinka is not done as well in Indian Wells, and that should be again a close matchup. They both know each other well. There's not going to be any surprises in their game, but Federer should just have that extra edge on this venue and surface and motivation level.
I'll be shocked if it isn't a Federer Djokovic final. I
would agree. I would think that this is probably and that's one of the reasons why I kind of call Indian Wells the fifth slam. But it's kind of like these players are relatively rested, they're motivated, and it would take quite a surprise to not see the world number 1 and world number 2 in the final. Like I said, I have Raonic and Nishikori as the semifinals. Does anybody have anything different than that?
I haven't, to be honest, I haven't written any draw predictions down, but I do agree that whatever happens, like during the progress of the draw, I think in the end it will be a Federer against Djokovic final. In terms of either one being upset earlier, I think if anyone does get upset earlier, it will be Federer, but I think the form that he's in at the moment, he's had success in Indian Wells in the past, so I think it'll be just like last year. And then if we say in terms of who the winner of the final will be, I know Federer's just beat Djokovic in Dubai, but I don't see Djokovic losing the final here to Federer. Especially considering what happened last year. I mean, Djokovic last year in Indian Wells, I don't know how he won that title. He was terrible. Well, not terrible. He was way below his best throughout that tournament, and even in the final, he wasn't playing his best tennis. I think he lost the first set against Federer.
Yeah. That was a very close match. It was like 7-5, 3-6, 6-3, or something like that.
And he still managed to win more or less on clutch play alone. didn't bring his best tennis at all, but he still managed to win. So I think I expect him to play much better in Indian Wells this year, and I think in the final he'll probably straight set Federer. I'm going to go out on a limb and say if they do meet in the final, I think he'll straight set Federer. I mean, Dubai conditions suited Federer a lot. Federer versus Djokovic, I mean, it allowed him to give Djokovic no time on the ball. Fast conditions.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, people that watch that Dubai final, I mean, Djokovic had every chance. It's not like Federer was
exactly
flawless and there were no chances. I mean, Djokovic, I think, had 3 or 4 break point chances. At one point, he was up a break, I think, a couple of times. And he couldn't finish the match off. It wasn't that he couldn't win a point against Federer. So,
exactly.
Different venue, North American hard courts. Djokovic is still the world's best player, and still, I think, even though Federer can win that match as he's demonstrated, I still think Federer against Djokovic, the ball is on Djokovic's racket at this point in their careers. It's going to be
especially on a court like this. Yeah, especially on a court like this.
So with that in mind, I have Djokovic over Federer in 3 sets. What do you think, Niall and Courtney?
Yeah, I agree. I just completely agree.
Yep. I do. I agree, and it's hard because Joe really says everything, and it's in great detail that I don't have anything to add.
Great. Well, we'll transition from that to the women's draw. I'm gonna let Niall lead this conversation about the women's draw, and then everybody else can go in.
Well, obviously the main story of the whole tournament, not let alone the women's draw, is Serena Williams' return to Indian Wells. I did write a piece on it, but basically in 2001 there was a lot of allegations going around about the Williams sisters fixing their matches, with the father Richard deciding who wins. This got wind. The crowd. The sisters were meant to face each other in the semi-final that year, but Venus pulled out with tendinitis. I'm just waiting for that noise to stop. It's going on again. Right, so
you can just go through the women's draw kind of in order and what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, I'll try some of this up. Basically, Venus pulls out with injury. People think they fixed it to get Serena through. They boo the Williams sisters and the father. The father claims there were racism involved, and that means that the Williams sisters have boycotted the event for 14 years, and now Serena has returned. So that is the big story heading into the women's draw. If you look at the top section, that is Serena's section. She's going to face Niculescu in round number 2, which should be easy. I mean, she's crafty, the Romanian, but she's nothing you can trouble Serena Williams with. And then it'd probably likely be Diaz in round 3. And again, Diaz is a decent player, but not enough weapons to trouble the world number 1. You've got an interesting potential third round between Kuznetsova and Kirby. I've got Kirby winning despite the fact that she hasn't been at her best form so far this season. And then Serena Williams should defeat Kirby. I mean, Kirby has defeated Serena Williams in Cincinnati, but all the other meetings have been straight set wins for Serena. So Serena advancing from that section, unless there's some injury, unless there's she gets really emotionally distressed from potentially the crowd booing her, and you never know. But
is that likely,
speaking tennis term,
U.S. soil that should be booed, though? I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it's Serena on U.S.
I don't think so. But you just, after boycotting an event for 14 years, you don't know how the crowd might react to her returning. They might feel a bit like it was a bit unjustified that she boycotted the event for so long. But I mean, chances are she doesn't. But there's a small chance she might. I don't think it would be as bad as 2001. So, and moving on to the second section, I think is extremely interesting. You got some really good informed players in this section. Safarova recently won Doha. She's going to face Mona Bartel in round 2, and Bartel's a talented player. She's got a brilliant backhand. She's defeated Bouchard recently. So that could be interesting, although I'd expect the Czech to advance. Svitolina, who I actually didn't really mention much in my write-up preview, but she's definitely one of the brighter prospects of the future. She's very consistent, and if Safarova has an off day in the third round, she'll definitely be able to take advantage. She won't give much away. Perhaps the most informed player on tour at the moment is Tamia Bashinska, who has won 2 tournaments in a row in Mexico and Acapulco and Monterrey. She defeated Caroline Garcia in the final in both of those occasions.
The conditions at Acapulco and Monterrey are very similar to Indian Wells in my experience, right?
Yeah, I think this with the form as well. I mean, WTA, there's so many little things that affect matches. It's like nothing's. It's not as set in stone as the ATP seems to be. So, I think the third round potentially between Makarova and Mashinsky will be very, very interesting. Now, I mean, you got one of the more informed players on tour versus one of the newer additions to the top 10. Makarova, she brings her best to the big tournaments, and I think she'll do the same here. I don't know if Mashinsky will be tired after recent exploits, but I've got Makarova advancing to face Safarova in round 4, and the Safarova in excellent form has got a head-to-head advantage over Makarova in this battle of lefties. I think the Czech will make the quarterfinals. Does anyone want to add anything so far?
I think it's mostly yours.
Oh, fair enough. Another interesting section, section 3. You got the third seed, Simona Halep. You got 2 young prospects who are definitely going to be a part of the furniture in the future for WTA, Muguruza and Pliskova. I'm very much looking forward to that potential match between Muguruza and Pliskova. I think that could be one of the, even if the quality is a bit down, that it'd be definitely very dramatic. I mean, they met recently. I think it was in Dubai. Pliskova came through on that occasion in 3 sets, and they met in 2013 Roland Garros opening round, and Muguruza came through with that one in 3 sets. You know, there's definitely going to be a lot of rivalry brewing between these 2 big hitters. I think in my preview I touched on the fact that it came down to mental strength in the end. Pliskova just took it towards the end with mental strength. She's also a bit fresher. I believe this time Garbina will be a lot fresher, a lot more up for it. And I mean, she didn't play well in the last match, I've got to say. And I think she'll take it in another tight 3-setter this time around. Likely go long. I don't see anyone upsetting Halep early. So Muguruza Halep 4th round. I think Garbina might be a little tired after a long match with Pliskova. So she might come out all guns blazing in the first set. We've seen it plenty of times before that Muguruza can blow anyone off the court, but I think she'll do that in the first set, but eventually Halep's consistency retrieving will tire the Spaniard and see her through to the quarterfinals. Section 4, again, it's another quite interesting one. I know Joe, you seem to be a bit of a fan of Radwanska. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
was gonna pick on Joe, but you know what? He picks on me. So Joe's currently flirting with the broad.
I'm here, but to be honest, I haven't watched much of the WTA this year, but this section from the players I've seen, it's actually a very good section. I can't go into much detail because I don't watch much plays, but a lot of the players in the draw are quite good, solid. You know what, players that can do well in, especially the lower level WTA events, and I think Carlos Suarez Navarro is a very good player as well, and I think the match between her and Monica Puig in the have I pronounced that right? I think so. In the second round, it'll be an interesting one to watch. In terms of advancing, she hasn't actually been in the greatest of form this year. I don't, apart from winning the Hopman Slam, and yes, it is a Grand Slam. I don't think she's done anything of note. Some bad losses, in all of the events she's played. So I don't know who's going to get through this section. Did you say you think Camilla George is going to get through, Niall?
I think Georgie's got a huge game. She's very, very powerful, but she's also very consistent.
Yeah.
Who can, in a way, she reminds me a bit of Ivanovic with a double fault. She double faults a lot.
She has a crazy father that looks like Animal from the Muppets on the sidelines.
Yeah, true. But I think Madvan's going to be a bit too crafty for Georgia in the third round. I've actually gone for Suarez Navarro to advance from the section. Interesting third round with Zahalova Stritsova. Two very crafty players there who don't really rely on power to beat their opponents. Suarez Navarro is a rarity on the WTA tour in the fact that she plays with a one-handed backhand. And I think with Radwanska's form not being so good at the moment, I think Suarez Navarro will be good enough to take advantage of that. Moving on to section 5, you got Eugenia Bouchard, who has only played once since the Australian Open, and she lost to Mona Bartel in Antwerp. Bouchard, despite her success in Grand Slam events last year, hasn't done too well outside of the Grand Slam events.
Good for the game.
The Danny Army does not agree with you.
I will say
with that, they're burning you in effigy.
I will say,
along with Justin Bieber, the latest member of Genie.
Seriously, we're really gonna mention Justin Bieber on this thing?
Yes, we are. What are your thoughts on Justin Bieber, Courtney?
I would just not mention him anymore,
please. Your eyes out. This is a Justin Bieber free zone.
Is Justin Bieber going to get a wild card into the doubles or something?
Boy.
Roger Federer and Justin Bieber doubles. I can just imagine it now. The amount of fawning that would be going down in Indian Wells that weekend.
No. If anybody's teaming up with Federer, it's going to be Gavin Rosdale.
Who?
Well,
Gavin Rosdale. First of all, Gavin Rosdale is Roger Federer's BFF. He's Gwen Stefani's husband. He's a musician. He's the lead singer of Bush. He's an actor. How do you people not know this?
But does he play tennis? That's the question.
Yes.
He's 49 years old. I don't think they're going to give a 49-year-old a wild card into Indian Wells.
You guys, he's always at the tennis tournaments. I met him in Cincy. They play all the time together. He's always in a lot of the celebrity kind of tournament fun things.
Have you not seen Justin Bieber though? I'll send a picture on
Please don't.
on Facebook.
My argument is he would play if anybody's playing with Roger Federer, it's going to be Gavin Rosdale.
It's going to be Justin Bieber. They want the money.
It's not. It's not Justin Bieber.
As a preview for our upcoming debate about whether Indian Wells should be debated, I'd like to present Justin Bieber being a feature on a Damien Love tournament. Is this the reason for my K?
Well, yeah, I mean, Jeannie has said herself that she's a fan of Justin Bieber. I mean, a lot of people have predicted Bouchard to be one of the future faces of the WTA. I think, yes, she'll be amongst the top players. I don't think she'll be as good as many people think she will be. There's a lot of technical flaws in the game.
Well, you've got to love it when someone gets hyped, but they're not as good as they made out. That really pisses me off.
Yeah, well, it annoys me as well.
That really pisses me off, especially when there's other players out there that are just similar ages out there that are just as good, if not better.
Yeah, I agree.
That have perhaps not quite blossomed yet or made the way on to the top stages, and I think a lot of the Bouchard hype is, I hate to say it, but is down to the fact that she's a good-looking Canadian. Obviously, these North American countries, if you're a good, decent enough player, you'll get hyped to no ends. It's the same in the US. It's the same in, not even in North America, but like the big powerful countries. It's the same in the UK. So I just think that that's part of the reason why she's hyped as much as she is. And like you said, Niall, she's not as good as many people make out.
Yeah, I still have a reach in the fourth round. I think I had in my I had a make in the fourth round facing Petkovic, and I think Petkovic will defeat Bouchard despite the fact that, you know, Petkovic isn't one of the biggest hitters on tour. That's mainly where Bouchard has struggled, really. But Bouchard, her form is so relatively unknown because she's only played one match since the Australian Open. So I've got Petkovic advancing from that section, should I say.
Petkovic is cool. Cool player.
She does a little dance. Might have seen a few of the Petkovic dancers in this tournament at least.
Section 6 is loaded. Wow, that's a loaded section.
Yeah, it very much is. Caroline Wozniak, the headline in this section, the fourth seed. She's has a good record at Indian Wells, a former finalist, a former champion. She comes in good form after winning Kuala Lumpur. She potentially faces Kaya Kanepi in round 2. Kanepi can be dangerous and just don't see it on this occasion. Belinda Bencic, another player that's been tipped to be a part of the future of WTA, currently isn't in the best of form. I can see her losing early as round 2. I don't see anyone stopping Wozniak in making the fourth round, to be fair. The most interesting part of this section is the top half of the section with Madison Keys being the 16th seed. She showed some good form in the Australian Open, but she hasn't played since. She's a very big hitter, very big serve, but she can be inconsistent along with that, which makes the matches a bit up in the air. She's another player that's been tipped to be a future star. I mean, I don't know how many future stars you could have because... but yeah, she's another one that's going to be... I'd certainly say she'll be up there. She's got a big enough game to win a Grand Slam for certain. She could play Daniela Hantuchova, who's a former champion here in the second round. But since winning Pattaya, she's not been in the best form. I think Keys realistically should make the fourth round, but I feel she'll lose to Wozniak, and I think Wozniak is a bit too consistent. She'll retrieve many balls. I think she'll frustrate Keys on the slower surface, and the American will start leaking a few errors. I'm trying to rush through this as quick as I can for you, but you got Section 7. Section 7, Anna Ivanovic. Garcia, Lisicki, and Irani are the seeds. Ivanovic lost to Garcia last week, so if them two meet in the third round, it'll be interesting. I think with this being a bigger event, Ivanovic will be the favourite and should win. But Garcia is a good player. I mean, she has been criticised for lacking a bit of effort sometimes, but she's in good form given her recent back-to-back finals in Mexico. So that could be interesting. Sabine Lisicki outside of Wimbledon is just wildly inconsistent. You know, she's up there as a potential title winner at Wimbledon, but anywhere else, she's upset material, and I think it's the same here. Jamila Gadjisova, I think, will beat her in the second round. Tara Irani is one of the more consistent players on tour, but she's better on clay than she is on hard courts. She lacks any weapons, to put it quite frankly. She very much leaves it in the hands of her opponents to come and beat her, and if not, they'll end up beating themselves. So I've got Gadjisova making the fourth round, losing to Ivanovic. Final section, obvious standout here is the potential round 3 between Victoria Azarenka versus Maria Sharapova. If you watch this match, I'd advise
make sure you wear your earplugs, yeah.
Yeah, mute it. Basically, just mute it because it's going to be loud, but it'll also be very dramatic, very, very close. Azarenka leads their hardcore head-to-head 6-1, but she's not the player she was in 2012, 2013 when she reached the world number 1. Sharapova is in the better form, I'd say at the moment. So I went with Sharapova overcoming Azarenka in 3 very, very tight sets, but it should be a good match.
Taylor Townsend picking up a form.
She's reached the top 100. So she faces Matic Sands in round 1, which I've picked as a match to watch. Yeah, it's 2 wild cards, both American, likely get a show court. It will definitely be close.
And I think you've got to give Townsend a lot of credit as well. She had a lot of hype surrounding her, I believe. Obviously, the same happens with many Americans, but unlike a lot of the Americans, she also had about weight. Obviously, I don't agree with mocking an athlete's weight. There is athletes out there that they've got genuine reasons for struggling with it, and if it's not affecting your game so much, I don't see a problem with it. But to be fair to her, she's lost a lot of weight in the past 12 months, and it seems to be helping her a lot, which is good. It's obviously something that she's done for herself. I don't think she's done it for anyone else to prove anyone else wrong. She's done it to help her, and it's helped a lot. She's moving better around the court, and her fitness has been helped with it as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I had a win in that match or not. It's definitely interesting to see how these American players will do in their home country, in their home tournament. Another one, Madison Brengeland, is in there. She's played quite well so far this season, but she'll likely lose to the defending champion Panetta in the second round. Obviously, the Italian likes these courts. She won here last year. But it's hard to really see anyone but the winner of Azarenka Sharapova advancing to the quarterfinals from this section, and I have it down to Sharapova in the end. Quickly to go through the quarterfinals. Serena over Safarova. I think Safarova in good form can take a set, but I don't see her doing anything more unless Serena has a really off day. I have Halep over. I'm getting through this section. Suarez Navarro. Wozniacki over Petkovic, and Sharapova over Ivanovic in a match where you might have to check your blood pressure.
I agree.
I just,
Your pick for champion as well?
I've gone for Serena. Obviously, people say it's easy to pick because she's the best, but she's the best for a reason. I think she has got a good record in this tournament, even if she hasn't played here for 14 years. I mean, she was only 19 at the time, and she last played here, and she's only lost in this tournament once. You know, so I just think unless something major really happens with the crowd or an injury, I just see Serena being a bit too strong for a competition yet again. I've gone for over Wozniacki in the final. I think Wozniacki in good form, like these courts, will make the final, but Serena leads ahead to them two 10-1. You know, the best of friends, but Serena dominates most of the time. She just got too much power, and I think it'll be a successful return for her to Indian Wells to cap off that story.
Cool.
Absolutely. And we'll let Joe talk a little about the Davis Cup, and then we're going to have a debate between me, Courtney.
Well, wait, shouldn't we have the debate first or no?
No, let's finish the debate, and then let's let Joe talk about Davis Cup because he's been waiting.
Right, so on the weekend, a lot of you listening to this probably know because the readers for Tennis Atlantic will be the ones that are listening to this. Over the weekend, I had the pleasure of going to the Davis Cup. On behalf of Tennis Atlantic, I had media credentials for Tennis Atlantic and covered the event for them. Just a little, I'm not going to mention too much about the journalistic side of things, but it was my first experience. I enjoyed it a lot. It was quite stressful, and I felt nervous the whole weekend. But I think I did some good writing in the end, and I can only get better from there. Ready for the next time I get credentials. It was certainly an experience that I'll learn a lot from, and be better when I get the chance to do it next time. Now, in terms of the actual weekend, it was an absolutely fantastic weekend. If you take it from a tennis fan standpoint, I mean, a lot of people say that the Davis Cup, the love for the Davis Cup is dying, and the format needs to be changed. But considering what happened here, what happened in Glasgow, the way the players played and gave it their all on the court, I don't think that is the case. It's an absolutely fantastic event, and the crowd in Glasgow throughout the whole weekend was absolutely amazing. I mean, I thought there was going to be periods where the crowd got quiet, or for perhaps maybe on the doubles when it was 2-0 up for the to the Brits. I thought it was going to be a bit quieter and a bit less busy, but throughout the weekend in the Emirates Arena, it was absolutely packed. Brilliant venue for Davis Cup tennis. I mean, indoors generally raises the noise, and there was moments where I was sat there in the press boxes and there was literally chills going through my body at how loud the crowd was. It was unbelievable. I've been to Wimbledon before, and I've been to the World Tour finals, but for my Davis Cup experience, I have to say I've never experienced anything like that at a tennis event. It was something really that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the passion that people were showing for supporting the country, and I think in terms of if you want to go to an event where you can get really involved in the crowd and show your passion for the sport, go to something where you can show the passion for your country as well, because the atmosphere at the Davis Cup is just a lot better than any other tennis event in the world. It's really good.
And I would agree with a lot of what you said. I don't know if you saw this or not, but when they interviewed Leon Smith, the British coach, he said that Glasgow venue had been the best, that he and his team had played at in terms of an atmosphere and home support and everything. And I think that was true really at most of the venues, I would say. I would personally long term like to see the Davis Cup turn like the World Cup with football, where they do it every 4 years so that generally the top players really want to play, and they're, it's not so much about money so much as the fact they want to play. They have the pride about it, and people really get excited because, for a month out of the year, every 4 years, it kind of gets the world's attention.
But I think
as big as, go ahead, sorry.
So what I saw on the weekend, obviously we had James Ward coming back from two sets sort of down to beat John Isner. That aspect of the competition, and it's not just this tie that it happened in. I mean, you can see on the video now how much James Ward was putting into it, but there was ties. I believe there was a tie in Kazakhstan against Italy where the underdogs beat the Italians out. I mean, Kazakhs were the huge underdogs in that match. But the fact that I think that the way it is now, I know a lot of sometimes singles players, like the top singles players for each country, don't want to play all the time. If you look at it the other way, it's giving exposure to like the lower ranked players, and they go out there. They go out there. They put their hearts on the sleeve and produce the best tennis of their careers. And in terms of that, if it changed to a World Cup format every 4 years, there's less chance of that happening. And there's arguments for and both, and I won't go into it too much tonight, but I think the way it is now, I think the calendar, the tennis calendar is always going to have its flaws. There's going to be complaints to be made about the regular ATP events, the Challenger events, the future events, and obviously the Davis Cup. It's never going to be perfect, but the way it is now, it makes for some excitement, in my opinion, because you've got special weekend just allocated to this tennis, no other stuff apart from some challenges and some WTA events going on. But people, even now, people are up for the Davis Cup, and that's the main focus of the weekend. No one really cares what else is going around in the tennis world, and it gives if it was over the weekend, it would if it was over like a 2 week period, for example, it'd just be a bit. I think it would be a bit weird. Whereas for 4 or 5 weekends every year, it gives fans a chance to go from being exposed to normal tennis to this cool country format, and I think more people tune in to tennis, more like nationalistic people that wouldn't normally watch tennis.
I would say that it really does depend on the country. It won't even be on like the major sports stations, ESPN and the like. But then on the other hand, I think in some countries like in the UK or Belgium or places like that, it is very much in the news. And I'll touch on. Go ahead, sorry.
I mean, we had two stations covering it in the UK, and that's quite a surprise for tennis. I mean, with most of the Grandstands, it's usually one network covering tennis events. I mean, Sky Sports for the Masters and stuff like that, Eurosport for some of the slams and an ATP 250 events, and then BBC there's one for Wimbledon, and the fact that, I mean, it has in the past the media didn't care as much about Davis Cup, when we weren't in the World Group, but the fact we have got to this point, and now the fact that two different networks from the UK is showing it, suggests how big it is becoming, and how the potential it has to become even bigger. I mean, and I think the whole weekend, the way it was organised, I don't think I saw anyone unhappy with anything that was going on. The fans were in a good mood from the get-go. The organisation by the LTA was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, man, it was a weekend. I think you had, three or four, at least three, I think four ties that went to a live. Fifth rubber, Canada, Japan, USA, GB was four rubbers, and then Australia and Czech Republic was four rubbers. Belgium and Switzerland was five rubbers, and then Italy and Kazakhstan was also five. I would say, and France, Germany was 3-0, and Croatia, Serbia was also 3-0. I would say that it is interesting. You do get to see a different type of player. I'm not too much of a nationals person. People attend that. I think it's fun. And overall, I mean, it certainly, there were some enjoyable matches. I mean, even like a five-setter between Struth and Simone. And France was probably not going to lose that tie, but it was nice to see that the German team really rally behind him, even though he lost.
Yeah.
And pick up, their young player. And of course, we saw Kokonakis come back from 2 sets down and help Australia, and their coach decided to start the youngster instead of putting out Hewitt or Crowe for the singles, and it seemed to pay off.
I like the way. Sorry. I like the way as well. The way that the ties are decided adds a bit of fun to it as well, with it being whoever played last. Like whoever played at home last will play an away tie the following time that the two teams meet. That adds a bit of fun to it, and the whole thing that you've got to pick a surface that's made to suit your team, and it's interesting to see whether that pays off or it backfires. I mean, looking at the USA versus Great Britain tie, obviously the USA's choice of play last year really backfired, whereas Great Britain's choice of indoor hardcourt this year really played to their strengths, and it did pay off. So again, that's another interesting aspect to the Davis Cup. I think the format could still have some tweaks, but I think it's a really unique format within tennis. It just takes it away a bit from the regular grind of the tour. It gives us something different to watch. I mean, I like the Davis Cup. I know some people don't like it, but it's always been something I've enjoyed because I like to see players stepping up and showing the passion for the country. And it's the only other best of five tennis we see out all year outside of slams now that they've got rid of it at the Masters 1000 finals and stuff like that. So it best of five tennis is the best sort of tennis. I mean, the Isner versus Ward match, it was 5 hours, and it's the longest match I've ever watched live. I mean, I was at a Janovic versus Meltzer 5-setter at Wimbledon. That was on grass, so that only lasted, I believe it was 2 hours 57 minutes. So the Ward Isner match was 2 hours more than that. So it was nice to experience that kind of feeling as a tennis fan, watching a long marathon match, something you can't, which is really, apart from a few matches, mainly those that involve Djokovic, Murray, Nadal, you don't really get to see matches of that length at best of 3. So again, that's another aspect of the tournament is good for. And I think you were about to mention it, weren't you, Steve? The 6 hour 42 match.
That's what we're showing now. We actually were tweeted to the second longest match in tennis history, besides the Courtside and the Wimbledon match. Over 6 hours between Joao Souza, who had also played a 5-setter on Friday. He played on Sunday the second longest match in 10-15. He played a 5-setter on Friday, and Leonardo Mayer needed 12 match points to win in 5 sets, and actually to keep the tie alive. Souza had managed to win. It actually would have been the end of the tie, but instead Argentina came back. They won both last two singles rubbers and won the tie on home soil.
Del Bona rose at the end of it.
Yeah, Del Bonis over Bellucci on Monday. Actually, the match was nearly dark by the time they finished the second singles. But I mean, overall, very, very interesting and exciting weekend. And
I just want to.
You can't beat the Davis Cup for drama. Go ahead, son.
I just want to. I know it's weird, but thank Tennis Atlantic for the opportunity of getting me the credentials. It was a really fun experience, and I enjoyed writing about it, even though I was nervous and questioning whether my writing was good throughout the weekend. But it was.
No, it was very good, and we greatly appreciated your contributions. I encourage people, even though it might be a couple of days old, to go look at what Joe wrote about all the matches. It was very pleasurable to read and quite informative. And then I was just going to run one other idea about Davis Cup is what would you guys think about maybe, in order to encourage participation and things like that, moving it to where you have, maybe one thing I've never really liked about Davis Cup is no matter what, you only get 5 matches, and you may not even get that many if it's on a live fifth rubber. So you pay money, you go over 3 days, but you really only get 5 matches in total. Versus if you go to an Indian Wells or something, you could watch 5 matches in 1 day, or more than that sometimes, and get lots of variety.
To be honest, I mean, before I knew I was getting media credentials with Tennis Atlantic, I actually looked at the prices of Davis Cup, and the prices do reflect the fact that you're only going to see three or four matches, between 3 and 5 matches over the weekend, excluding the dead rubbers. I mean, you can get weekend packages. I think there was weekend packages on sale for between £100–150. And the tournament in general, if you compare it with something like the World Tour Finals, where a semi-finals ticket alone in the lower tier is around £110, £120 for just the one match. So yes, the 2 matches, but best of 3, and then the final, which is just 1 match, is around £130. So I think the value for money. I think you're right. It might be a better a format where you pay and you get more, but the prices for Davis Cup, I don't know whether it's the same in America or not. But in relative terms, for the tennis that you do get, I don't think it's that expensive.
Yeah, what I was going to say is what I would do is have the World Group teams continue to host at their venues like they do, but you have all these action in World Group in Group 2, Group 3, Group 1, where a lot of times it's these small countries that don't have a lot of tennis venues to begin with, and maybe don't have as much as the fan base and everything. And
do you think so? So like a Fed Cup format might be better, where the World Group teams still face off, where whoever played the last tie away plays it at home. But
what I was going to say was something similar to the fact that where they do tennis tournaments, where you have maybe you could continue to see USA GB in Glasgow, but maybe they put Luxembourg and or Denmark and Russia. I think it was one of the Group 2 ties, or Luxembourg and I can't remember who they played, but I was Morocco for Portugal. But anyway, let's just say you could have saw Morocco and Portugal and Denmark and Russia in Glasgow, during that same time, but maybe on a different court.
Yeah,
People still could travel like they do for the World Cup. Traveled, and Danish fans or whatever could have traveled and enjoyed the tennis.
I think what they do at the Fed Cup, I don't know if it could work for the Davis Cup, because I think attendance for the Davis Cup would be a bit more. But in the lower levels of the Fed Cup, they have like a week. I think it's like half a week, and it's basically the nations that are in the lower the lower levels. I think Niall, you followed the WTA, so maybe you can tell me a bit more about it. But the nations at the lower levels have their matches held at the same venue. So I think there's like between 10 and whatever teams, I can't say for exactly, but there's loads of teams facing off in the same venue over a lot of courts. And that, logistically wise, giving them exposure somewhere where people are going to watch tennis might be better than holding it at their home country. I don't know. Might work out better, but maybe Niall can tell us more about whether that'd be a good idea or not. If you see it.
Well, to be honest,
I mean, I would just say a lot of times, I mean, if you look at the rosters for these smaller teams, a lot of times it's like American, college players that play, college tennis here in the USA or, something like that. And I mean, they're just happy for the exposure anyway. And I think, maybe it would be nice to have that because it would give these smaller teams exposure and things like that, and they can still have their fan bases. But I mean, as you know, like we see when Marcos Bagdatis ever plays a slam match, there's more like Greek, Turkish, Cypriot fans a lot of times in these Western nations because of immigration than there is in the country itself. So, if Lebanon or something wanted to play a Davis Cup tie in the UK, they could certainly probably get as many Lebanese fans that live in the UK than they could in Lebanon, and probably at a better venue.
Excuse me.
Unless somebody else has any thoughts on that, I'll transition to me and Courtney's debate.
Yeah, I might throw my opinion in this discussion, if that's okay. Probably when you two are fighting too much, but I've got a bit of an opinion on Indian Wells myself. If you don't mind me putting my input through the discussion, if that's okay.
Yes, that's quite fine.
Yeah.
I can go last. I can start with Steen since he's
you set us off.
Yeah, you two
I want to make sure you have every opportunity to start the conversation exactly in your favor.
You two go first, and then I'll give my opinions. It's only a small opinion at the end of it. I just want to listen to this. It'll be fun. Steve, stop delaying it by searching for pictures.
No, I'm not. I was gonna let Courtney set it up. Go ahead. I'm just trying to.
Okay, well, I'm gonna talk after Steen because I'm for and he's against.
Yeah.
But we're talking about Indian Wells. Steen thinks that Indian Wells should be moved and it should no longer be a tournament and maybe a Grass Masters event or something else. I am for Indian Wells, so I'll let him talk about why he's opposed to it first.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's the only tournament in the world I'm opposed to. I just think it's very much overrated for the attention that it gets. Everybody, raves about how modern it is and the venue, and they, screaming the practice courts now and Federer tying his shoes and all this kind of stuff. But to me, it's just, Larry Ellison certainly got plenty of money to throw around and make it nice, but it's in the middle of nowhere. In terms of where the population centers are in California, there's not a tournament in Los Angeles, but there's one out basically out in the desert. And it's just, it's 2 weeks and it's just kind of there. So to me, it's not the most efficient, use of a venue. And if it's not for Larry Ellison being filthy rich and being able to throw money around, is it really the best place for a tournament? And so it's not that I'm entirely against it. I just think that it's in a bad location and it's overrated for what it is. And then in terms of the grass court Masters, I just think there just needs to be more variety. I think they need to speed up the surfaces and then create more faster court tennis. I don't care if it's grass or carpet or whatever, but I think there's probably the right amount of clay court tennis on tour right now, and something if you want to be a clay court player and play on clay just every week, you really very much could. But there's too many real just kind of slow, bland, hard courts like in Indian Wells.
America.
And I would like to see, carpet come back, and also just more fast grass and fast hard courts and low bouncing to speed up play and to allow some different variety of players to develop. We've got plenty of the grinders and the pushers and all that kind of thing, but it'd be nice to see the serve and volley kind of come back and those type of aggressive attacking skills. It doesn't matter if it's men's or women's, but it would just be nice to see a little bit more diversity in the game. It's a little bit strange too with Indian Wells that even though Miami is just after, a lot of the players skip Miami because they go to European clay is what immediately follows. So it's like you have these two hard court Masters events that are just stuck in the calendar when before that you had indoor hard courts and then primarily indoor hard courts. And then after that you have clay. So it's like, why not do an indoor carpet or something in February to keep in line with Rotterdam and with the relatively fast surface in Dubai and, and the under 250s like Zagreb and we're saying others that are all indoors and keep it that way rather than putting it putting to U.S. Masters, especially when we've seen like the Memphis tournaments or the other ones. San Jose is not even on the calendar anymore. So the way that Indian Wells was designed to have Memphis, the 500 series, and then San Jose kind of lead into that. Memphis is much smaller now, just a men's-only tournament at 250, and San Jose isn't even there. So the support structure to feed into Indian Wells is not even there anymore.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
All right. My argument for Indian Wells, I think it would be great to have, more diversity and more grass court events, things like that. However, for Indian Wells, you say it's in the middle of nowhere and it's in a bad location, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's in kind of a more kind of wealthy type area, but it is absolutely stunning. And it's one of the tournaments that I most want to visit. It's up there with Rome and Monte Carlo. It's an absolute gorgeous venue. A lot of the players, they talk about how gorgeous it is, on Instagram. If you look right now, a lot of players are posting pictures talking how beautiful it is. I have a lot of friends that go, and it's a very beautiful tennis ground. And there's a lot to it. They have an area, a grass area where players often, play soccer, football, or kind of stretch and hang out. And I know they kind of blocked it off a little bit for people, but a few years ago, I know people were able to actually, go on the grass and sit there and be kind of close with the players, which is always nice. From what it sounds like, it seems like a pretty good tournament to get close to players. It doesn't. They've made a lot of changes, but I haven't heard so many complaints from fans about access to players. And I like.
Yeah, I just go ahead, sorry.
Well, hey, I let you go.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I like the fact that there's entertainment as well. It's they have a lot of celebrities that go. They do a lot of exhibitions, which I think are fun for fans.
Like Justin Bieber.
See, all
right.
Yeah. Hey.
Let us speak. Come on.
All right. The entertainment factor. They have exhibitions, which I think are fun for fans because they get to see the players not only play, but kind of be playful and humorous, and they get to meet celebrities that you might not meet any other time. And it's a great blend of entertainment and tennis and also in terms of location. There's not a tournament on the west coast of the United States, and the United States is really big. And to completely take a tournament out of the west coast, that's a lot of fans that might not get to see tennis very easily because, it's not easy to travel as throughout the United States as it would be. European countries are a lot smaller and cheaper to travel through. To take that from the West Coast is hard because the tournament in LA is no longer there. Joe, can you mute your mic for me?
Sorry.
LA is no longer there. They had a tournament in Vegas. That's no longer there. so I think Indian Wells is very important. And you made the point of saying that, a lot of people kind of skip Miami and go off to European clay. Well, it sounds to me that maybe move Miami. Because although a lot of
here's the
people,
difference.
hey, wait, I'm not done. Hold on, I'm not done. A lot of people, although a lot of people train in Miami, there's a lot of tournaments in the East Coast. You have Delray Beach, you have Cincinnati, U.S. Open, you have some of the smaller New England events. And if a lot of people skip Miami, then and go off to Europe, maybe that's a tournament you should move instead of Indian Wells. All right, now you may go.
Here's the difference for me is if you look at the other Masters tournaments, maybe with the exception of Cincinnati, although that is in the Midwest, and it's not like it's in the middle of, it's kind of in the suburb, but it's not really in a small city. Cincinnati's still relatively of size. Is that they're all generally in the world's major cities. They're in Paris, they're in Shanghai, they're in Monte Carlo, which is a very wealthy area, but also part of major population. They're in Rome, Madrid. Yeah, they're all in generally major cities. And Miami, for that matter, is likewise a major city with a lot of diversity. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be against maybe Rio and Miami switching, so you make Rio a Masters and demote Miami to 500 or something. I'm not saying that wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea because the Miami tournament has had its own issues. I mean, they don't even televise, I think, the first two rounds or the first round there usually. I think I remember Fernando Gonzalez played his last match as a professional in Miami purposely because they have a lot of South Americans that live there, and it wasn't even televised or streamed or whatever you want to call it. But the Miami tournament's got its own issues, but I don't really think it's an either or. And that's the thing. I mean, the tournament in Los Angeles most certainly needs to come back with all the celebrity and the money and the star power in Los Angeles and the history of sports in that city with hosting the Olympics and the Los Angeles Lakers and all that kind of thing. But they've just had so many issues with getting attention. Same reason why the NFL isn't in Los Angeles. It's a matter of dealing with the extreme expense of the property and marketing and everything going on there, and at the same time getting the audience's attention. But I mean, even putting Indian Wells in, I don't know, Phoenix or somewhere, maybe a little bit more modern city, or in Dallas, Texas, or somewhere like that.
Well,
maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's on the East Coast, though. You're still taking away from the West Coast.
Phoenix isn't on the East Coast.
And secondly, you said Texas. But secondly, I don't understand why the city thing is so big to you, because Indian Wells is a huge event.
Excuse me.
People go to this event. It's sold out.
Can I just...
It's a huge event. Hold on. It's a huge event. So the fact that it's not in the city, Cincinnati the tournament in Mason, Ohio is an hour away from the city. It's in a very small town. But people go. It's a huge event. So I don't get why it has to be in a city. It doesn't. I really hate the city. I'm more of a small town girl, and I think it has a very charming kind of thing about it. And I don't understand why it has to be in a city to be successful.
There's three major reasons why. Number one, you're correct that the attendance is good. I mean, I would say the attendance at Indian Wells is probably higher, certainly than like Shanghai, and probably higher than like Toronto and Montreal. But here's the difference. That audience that they're attracting is an audience that's already fans of tennis, or people that already have an interest, already have a passion for the sport. If you're putting a tournament in Indian Wells, you're not exposing it as much to the layman's audience. You're not growing the game as much. Versus if you put a tournament in downtown Los Angeles, there's plenty of people that will go because it's just in downtown Los Angeles. It's something to do and something to be seen at. Versus, the audience you're probably attracting, even though they're filling the seats, is the audience that you already have either way. It's not growing the game. And when it comes to the media market, when it comes to the sponsorship opportunities, the major corporations of the world, the United States or the nation, in various nations, are generally in big cities. The major TV, radio, newspapers, internet sites, and everything else, again, are generally in the major cities. The TV station in Los Angeles certainly gets more viewers and attention than this TV station in San Diego or the Indian Wells area.
Well, first of all, they have the star power, so it's going out all of California because they have the star power. But second of all, it's sold out, and you're getting the real tennis fans who know the sport, who are going to talk about it, who are going to, tell their friends. Just because you're not getting simpleton folk who don't know the difference between Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal, I mean, that doesn't
But
make
that's the difference,
to me.
though. From a business, if I'm a businessman, if I'm the ATP, and I'm thinking from a business perspective, and I know that my sport is about maybe the 7th most popular in the U.S., like 5th or something, less than 2% of people think tennis is their favorite sport. So if I'm thinking from that perspective, my goal is to broaden the appeal and broaden the audience as much as possible. Same thing, people go to NBA games or NFL games or the football or something because they want to see Massey and Ronaldo and LeBron James and people like that. And yes, they might be simpletons. Yes, they may just like the color of a player's shirt, and that's why they root for them. But there's still a wider audience, and it makes you more likely to get that mainstream coverage. And especially in the United States, we're talking about with the way our media is and our sports media is. Is there a better chance that, for example, our major sports network ESPN is going to cover a tournament in Los Angeles where they have a news bureau and a news desk and a website and everything else, or in the middle of the California desert? Where are they more likely to send coverage?
The Indian Wells media is very hard to get into, and I've heard that for years.
But it's tennis media. It's tennis media, not CBS Evening News.
How do you know that?
Because I'm saying Courtney is looking at statistics that say that it's full and there's people there, but it's the tennis. It's already the tennis fan and the tennis media audience. It's not the nightly news and
the fact that there's a British journalist that's on Twitter, and she's flown out from London to go to Indian Wells. So the fact
she's a tennis journalist, though, right?
It still costs a lot to fly out there. I don't assume she'll be getting paid by the site she works for, because it's a freelance site.
What Steen is saying is that he wants people that are not directly involved in tennis to go to this event, and it's more likely to go to LA. Well, I care more about the people that love tennis.
Can I just
about the fact that it's sold out, and if you're a fan of tennis, you're going to spend more money. And
Can I just say something about? Sorry, Steve. There was an event in Los Angeles for a while, but didn't that have to get cancelled due to low attendance numbers? And
it was in a horrible spot on the calendar too. A lot of times they got the Olympics that block.
Oh, now you were blaming the location. Now you're blaming the calendar.
It was both. It was the calendar too. One year I think the number 53 was the top seed. Like Benoit Paire was the top seed that one last year.
And Indian Wells is one of the biggest tournaments of the year. It's one of the most attended tournaments of the year.
But this is the thing, though.
Beautiful tournaments of the year.
It's the most attended based upon the audience that tennis currently has. It's not the most attended sporting event.
And I wouldn't want some Joe Schmo stealing my seat who can't tell who Roger Federer is.
Hey, don't be mean to Joe's.
I'm thinking from a business perspective, though. I see tennis in the United States in decline. I see the media coverage and the media coverage and the interest among the general population is declining in the United States, while Larry Ellison's investment portfolio is growing, and certainly his bottom line is growing greener and fatter, and they raise plenty of money.
Can I just give my 2 cents on the whole thing? Well, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Indian Wells event myself. I don't like the slow courts and the high bounce, and I don't think it since the early 2000s. I don't think there's been many very exciting matches. But what I will say, in credit to the event, I think it's done a lot of positives in terms of setting the bar for other tournaments. I mean, I'm just looking at the picture Steen's got of the stadium court. The stadium court there looks like more or less like a Grand Slam championship stadium court. It's an absolutely wonderful stadium. They've got court 1 that's amazing, the court 2 that's amazing. They've got what? It's got to be at least 50 courts on the whole complex. And I know Steve's bashing Larry Ellison. I think the fact that he's got something.
You're going in and out, Joe.
Help the future because sorry, hello?
Yeah, you're there. Go ahead.
You're good.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Right, do I need to start again with what I've said, or?
You just see it. You kind of cut out after you said I'm bashing Larry Ellison, and it kind of went blank.
Right, so I know Steen likes to bash Larry Ellison, but I think the events, I don't know if you've heard this, but the complex is at least 50 courts on that complex. If I'm just going by how many main courts like for playing on and then practice courts that they've got, I mean, there's like practice court 15 or something alone, and then you've got loads of stadium courts. And whilst like that's for the event, just think about the legacy that can help create. Like when there's not the tournament going on, because I've heard that.
That's what I think about too, is the fact that it is in Indian Wells, and in many ways disadvantages it from being a multi-use venue, because you're putting in this footprint environmentally and otherwise of building all these facilities, but the population center is not in Indian Wells. They're not just getting recreationally.
People can still travel there, can't they?
I think they can. They do like USTA invitationals and things there. Is it used as much as it would be? Maybe like the Key Biscayne Tennis Center in Miami, where like Marie trains, for example. I don't think it's used as much as that. I don't hear of any players or things like that going to anywhere. I know they do the Orange Bowl in Miami at the tennis center there. But I don't think they do a junior at the Indian Wells.
But
or if they do, it's not the Orange Bowl.
I do think in terms of the event as a whole, it's kind of set the bar for other tournaments, and even if it does have your state, and even if it has the issues that you're stating, it's setting the bar high for other tournaments that are perhaps closer to the places and everything, and it's making them want to do more. And I don't think it should be changed. I think if either Indian Wells or Miami has to be removed from the calendar, I'd rather remove Miami, because it's there that the facilities are getting bashed, the attendance isn't as good. Whereas I know you're saying it's mainly tennis fans, but I think there is a lot of just a general public that make the trip there as well to go and watch Indian Wells, because it's probably a vacation for a lot of people, whether they're massive tennis fans or not. It's a weekend out. The spectacle, the site isn't just tennis. I think there's probably a lot of other stuff to do, and the numbers, the numbers speak with the attendance.
And then just kind of final word on this, just to wrap it up. I think Indian Wells is prospering at the expense of U.S. tennis and tennis in general. Courtney thinks it's
Can I just say one thing? I don't think it's at Indian Wells that is that's causing the problem for US tennis. I don't think the event is affecting US tennis at all. I think it's the USTA.
I agree, and I think that
completely.
I agree with that. The only thing I'll say though is that I know there's people that they won't go to their local challenger, but they'll spend thousands of dollars to go to Indian Wells.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would do that. But you know what?
Thanks for ruining the game, Courtney.
Well, I'm just saying, I would rather spend my money to see my favorite players. Although if it's close to me and I'm able to, I would love to go to as many challengers or small events that I can. But yeah, of course we're gonna want to see the big dogs and in luxury kind of grounds and meet the big guys. That's important for tennis fans. I want to hang out with Ernest Wolfus, man. That's what I want to do. But I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I do blame USTA because Davis Cup and all these things, they put no money into promotion.
I mean,
So
USDA
sometimes-
that's a larger conversation.
The support that the US brought over for Davis Cup was absolutely diabolical.
But I mean,
There was because usually if someone from a country comes over for Davis Cup, there might have been a few Americans scattered across the arena, but in terms of US support that are together, which is usually the case with Davis Cup ties, that like the travelling fans are all sat together. There was, by my count, there was between 8 and 10 supporters in the section, the US section.
In the United Kingdom, no less, which is an English-speaking country where people enjoy to travel anyway, and many people have ties to. Not in Nigeria.
Yeah, but what's as embarrassing as well was the fact that the UK support last year in the Davis Cup tie, the USA against Great Britain again, the UK support was arguably better than the US support, and that speaks volumes when you get in outshone on home soil by
Of course, I can't really defend myself because I was tweeting back to Brit like everybody else was. Because I'm a Murray fan.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, not every American will be behind the national team. There'll be a few that are tennis fans and they don't care about the nation. But the fact that they're only bringing 10 people over for the Davis Cup it speaks volumes. At how low US tennis is at the moment, and what like it's glaring that things need to be done. Because I'm sure in the past, like when I think it was 1999, obviously I wasn't watching tennis by then, but when the US faced Great Britain in Birmingham in Davis Cup World Group, I think it was the World Group, I'm sure the US brought a lot more fans over than they did today.
I mean, I would agree, and I mean on that note,
on that note, literally.
try to support your local federation, but if you don't like them, you don't have to. And please attend your local challenger because the tennis certainly needs the support at that level too. Don't just be like Courtney and spend thousands of dollars.
Hey, I do not. First of all, time out. I live in Vermont. There's no challengers anywhere near me except for Granby, Canada. So there is no U.S. tournaments in driving distance more than 6 hours away. I would have to go to a challenger. So damn right I'm spending those $1,000 and going to see her in a school bus. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe he'll be in Winston-Salem, one of the other 250s that needs our help. On that note, I thank everybody for joining us on the 5th episode of the Tennis Atlantic and the Grandstand Courtside Videocast. And we'll be back probably sometime next week to be determined to kind of discuss the midway point round of 16 quarterfinals for the men's and women's Indian Wells, since it's the big first Masters tournament of the season. So with that in mind, thank you for joining us. Thank you for Joe, and not only for joining us today, but also for all his hard work at the Davis Cup and doing all that. We look forward to his coverage throughout the season on Tennis Atlantic, and then also to Niall for doing such a wonderful job walking us through the women's draw, and then just for his great writing and again being a guest on the program.
Okay.
So, thank you everybody, and we appreciate it. And thank you for Courtney for doing a wonderful job co-hosting and helping keep us on track as always. And we'll look forward to hearing from y'all. In the meantime, be sure to visit Tennis Atlantic and the Grandstand for all your ATP and WTA news, previews, and predictions. Thank you.